Welcome to your week in review here on WINN FM 98.9 for the period May 5th through 10th. Making the news last week.
Awards presented to winners of the Ross University Science Lab Model Contest.
ECCB Governor calls for establishment of dedicated trade logistics hub for CARICOM. Island Youth Forum set to inspire future leaders at the Global Sustainable Island Summit in St. Kitts and Nevis.
Brantley pleased with the shared benefits of the LAMAT mission. Over 300 in Nevis received health care. NEMA encourages residents to prioritize disaster preparedness.
ECCB Governor highlights strategic priorities for ECCU development during 2025 IMF spring meetings.
Brantley questions the sustainability of the pension fund if the government auxiliary employees or non-established workers receive refunds of contributions.
Now, the details.
Primary and secondary schools across the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis displayed superb creativity, critical thinking and collaboration in the Science Lab Model Contest organized by the Ross University School of Veterinary Medicine, St. Kitts. In the primary school division, the Joshua Obadiah Williams Primary School emerged as the winner, while the second and third positions were awarded to schools in Nevis, the Joycelyn Liebert Primary School and Elizabeth Pemberton Primary School, respectively. The most creative award and the most sustainable award were presented to Joshua Obadiah Williams Primary School, whilst the school's presenter, Elijah Gilbert, received the Best Presenter Award. The prizes included science supplies up to US $500, junior savers account from First Federal, a brunch at Park Hyatt for the winning teacher, and internet upgrades from the cable. Meanwhile, the first place school in the high school category was the Bastia High School, a private high school in Nevis. The Nevis International Secondary School placed second and the Sadlers Secondary School placed third. The most sustainable award was presented to the Bastia High School, and the Best Presenter Award was presented to Amadeus Woodley of the Washington Archibald High School. The prizes included science supplies valued up to US $700, student and teacher gift vouchers, free internet from the cable St. Kitts, and $100 gift cards from My St. Kitts. The Lab Science Model Contest was a marquee activity on the Ross University School of Veterinary Medicine calendar of events for Lab Week, April 20 to 26, 2025. The institution, through the contest, highlighted the importance of supporting and investing in STEM education.
On the May 7th, 2025 broadcast of ECCB Connects, two key figures from leading financial institutions in the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union, ECCU, discussed the newly introduced basic bank account, now known as the ECCU First Step Savings Account. Ron Leon, a senior manager of corporate services acting at Republic Bank EC in St. Lucia, and Sonia Roberts Carter, Chief Operations Officer of Eastern Caribbean Amalgamated Bank in Antigua and Barbuda, shared valuable insights on what this product means for ECCU residents and the financial sector. The ECCU First Step Savings Account is designed to provide a simple, hassle-free way for individuals to open a bank account, access various financial services, and take control of their financial future. The account will soon be available across all commercial banks within the ECCU, making a significant stride forward in financial inclusion. Ron Leon recounted the collaborative journey with the ECCB and regional regulators.
I have had the opportunity of working with a very esteemed working group, including the ECCB and other regulators in the region. And it has truly been an eye-opening process. I think understanding, first and foremost, what really is expected from licensed financial institutions, particularly banks, as it relates to dealing with customers at the point of opening the accounts, was the biggest hurdle.
He further emphasized the importance of establishing a common understanding.
It's amazing to see how differently we thought on some of the requirements, which we really had been emphasizing for quite some time. But with that working group, we were able to establish a common ground on what is really required to get somebody into the financial system and have them with that account, which is critical for all of our citizens.
Leon confirmed the readiness of institutions to advance the project. Sonia Roberts Carter illuminated the Eastern Caribbean Amalgamated Bank's pioneering experience with the ECCU First Step Savings Account.
The customers have been responding well, asking a lot of questions to see if they do qualify for that account. We did open our first account this month since launching, and we'll continue to push to encourage persons who meet the criteria to open the account and enjoy the privilege of banking and all the access to financial services they will gain.
Addressing the account's essential features, Robert Carter clarified,
There's agreement that we will all adopt the same name in terms of setting up the product. As he said before, some banks are a little ahead of the game in others. We also agreed that once you are ready, you'll go ahead. So you would have the other banks coming on stream with the same product. We've done our best to streamline it so you have the same experience in terms of what's required in opening that account across the ECCU. Every financial institution, once they've launched their product and you go in, you can ask for it by that name. So that has been agreed among the banks as we collaborated on introducing the product. Bring your ID. We will take the information from you on address, source of funds. And for the requirement for the product, of course, your deposit activity being in the region of $3,000 a month, $3,600 a year. That we ask as well, and of course the requirement being a resident of the ECCU as well.
From the wider regional perspective, Ron Leon noted,
all our financial institutions have started. Unfortunately, we are at different stages of readiness, so we can't all boast of having launched the product as yet, but I can guarantee that all financial institutions are working to launch the basic payment account, and it is truly a very big deal for us. It's unfortunate that I'm sitting in a blue background, but this really is a confetti type of moment. We are happy to actually get to this point to be able to serve the ECC region.
Considering individuals who may be uncertain about qualifying for this account, Ron Leon offered solid advice.
I would advise anyone who wishes to open a bank account, who may be in a situation where they're unable to provide something that has been quite critical for opening an account with banks, which is proof of income. You may not be able to give the bank a complete breakdown of your income. You may not be able to give the bank an exact proof of your residential address. If you fall into that category, this could possibly be the account for you. What we have done is to allow persons who fall into that category the opportunity to have basic banking services, payment processing, saving, of course, in our formal financial sector. So if you do fall into those two categories, then this account may be the one.
Sonia Roberts-Carter expanded on the accessibility of the product.
We are really geared towards banking persons who have never had a relationship with a licensed financial institution, commercial bank before. We're encouraging them bring what they have, one ID. They just need one government-issued ID. Come in, we will take the information in terms of address and source of funds for them, sign a simple attestation form, and they can begin to transact, having access to the banking system, cards, etc. So we're encouraging persons, if you've never established a relationship with bank before, it's simplified, made easier for you. Now is the time to do that.
Responding to queries about customer concerns, Roberts-Carter remarked,
"We haven't had many concerns raised by customers in terms of what it would mean for them. We have been sharing a lot of information so that they understand that through this product, they will get a debit card so they can transact, go to the ATM, swipe the card at merchants and do online purchases. We have communicated clearly that there are some limitations. Yes, they would not be able to do international wires with this product or have an overdraft facility, but we're also making sure that as we engage with customers that they know that this is their first step into the banking environment. And when they now graduate to that point where they will need these additional services that are limited with the first step, what it means to them is now we can graduate them into other products and services because they've matured in their banking."
On the broader implications of financial institutions, Robert Carter stated,
"First, given the regulation changes and the adjustments in guidance that would come through the regulators once those adjustments have been agreed to simplify the process, it now means that each financial institution has to look at their system, make system changes to accommodate that. They have to look at their policies and procedures and onboarding requirements and make those adjustments and implement them, put them into effect, so now the customer can get the benefit of those. So at different levels, depending on each institution, they may have additional parameter changes they have to make. We have to look at those setups of the product to meet the needs of the customers as well. So a lot of this has started, is happening in the background. We're here, as you know, at a first sort of or second sort of stage of the ease of banking. There is more to come as we make the adjustments now with additional regulatory guidance and additional regulation changes to make it, to allow us to now ease what we look for, what we ask for, I should say, in terms of the customer requirements.
Ron Leon added the regional significance.
I believe the biggest impact is really on our everyday man. Right now, it promotes and allows financial inclusion, which is a very broad term. But for the everyday person, it allows you to have this bank account, which is very necessary for savings, which means you no longer, if that were the case or the reality for you, need to try to keep cash stored in another room or in an envelope somewhere. It allows you for easier payment processing. So someone who may have been dependent on checks or cash for payments, businesses are now able to transact directly to your bank account, which is in most cases faster, more efficient, and cheaper. So it will improve the overall ECCU financial sector, create more efficiency, and of course that financial inclusion that we want.
Looking ahead, Ron Leon described the priorities of the working group.
The biggest step for the working group right now, of course, the health check on, we call it the health check, or I call it the health check, on the basic payment account to ensure that everything is working well and intended as intended. In addition, we want to ensure that we have full collaboration across the board. We call ourselves One Caribbean, and we must act as One Caribbean to ensure that our populace benefits from this. It is truly a momentous occasion because if you think about it, it's probably one of the few times you have licensed financial institutions everywhere, not competing, but establishing one common goal.
Shermalon Kirby, Director of the Corporate Relations Department, reflected on this unity in a typically competitive industry.
Coming together and seeing the benefits of operating as one, because usually you said it's a competitive space, but here you have an opportunity to really work together as one for the betterment of the entire region and our people.
As the conversation concluded, Ron Leon offered final encouragement to the public.
Yes, I will say to anybody out there, again, who may fall into the brackets that I would have mentioned before, maybe you're unable to provide a proof for your current address, and maybe you're unable to provide definitive evidence of your income. Visit your financial institution of preference, advise them that you wish to open a basic payment account or an ECCU First Step Savings account. And they could advise you on if they are currently ready and how we could actually move forward. It is very important that we are part of the official financial system. As I said, it is the way forward for our region. We have some persons who are part of regions who do not even use checks, where payments are completely electronic. So if we are to look forward, which we always want our region to do, if we are to look forward to ensure that we are moving with what is expected in the payment space, this is really a step that we must take. So I encourage everyone, persons who may not have an account, to do so. Reach out to a preferred financial institution.
Sonia Roberts Carter echoed the call, emphasizing accessibility and benefits.
We have made this product easy for customers to access. We have made a great offering where you have no fees to open the account and to maintain it. We have made it interest earning account, so you also have an opportunity to start to save, earn interest on your funds. So I'm encouraging everyone across the ECCU, as Ron said, approach your financial institution. And if you have never been banked before, now is the opportunity to take advantage of the access to these great products and services as well that come with it for your benefit.
The ECCU First Step Savings Account is a landmark advancement in the region's efforts to promote financial inclusion, empower individuals, and modernize banking access for all citizens. The seamless collaboration between the ECCB, financial institutions, and regulators highlights a collective step forward towards a more inclusive and efficient financial future across the Eastern Caribbean. On the sidelines of the recent IMF World Bank Group Spring meetings held at the end of April, Governor of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, ECCB, Timothy N.J. Antoine, expressed pressing concerns regarding the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union's trade relations with a particular focus on food security. Governor Antoine expressed the region's heavy reliance on imported goods and the accompanying challenges from trade tensions and shipping uncertainties.
We have to look very seriously now at our logistics hub, where we source and how things are shipped to our region and within the region. Because not only are we very dependent on the Port of Miami for many of our goods, but it is true even for exports or trade within the region, intra-Caribbean trade. A lot of our trade is being shipped to Miami, for example, on tropical shipping and then coming back down. So even within the Caribbean, we are using US ports for trade. We clearly have to fix that to make it cheaper, to make it faster, and obviously to make it more reliable.
He added that this situation calls for meaningful discussion and decision-making on establishing a dedicated trade logistics hub for the CARICOM region, citing potential locations such as Jamaica, the Dominican Republic, Trinidad, or Panama. The governor further highlighted the critical issue of food security, which intertwines with broader health challenges in the region. In response to inquiries about the impact of current logistical constraints on food security and related health issues, Governor Antoine underscored the situation's urgency and complexity.
Again, this is a moment that cannot be wasted. We have to make a full commitment to really boost food and nutrition security. And the shipping issue that I just mentioned in respect of how we move goods around the region is important, because if you're moving food from a surplus country to a deficit country, you're moving sweet potatoes or yam from one to the next, you need shipping. Right now, that shipping is not properly established and it needs to be addressed.
He also shed light on the economic realities impacting dietary choices within the region.
There is also the issue of costs, because frankly spoken, some of the ultra-processed food which is driving NCDs, non-communicable diseases, in our region, or in part, those foods are cheaper than locally produced foods and organic foods. And we have to address that question, because in an environment where budgets are tight, both at the family level, household level, and at the state level, the government, people are going to make decisions based on what they can afford.
Governor Antoine emphasized the need for food and nutrition security investment to make healthier food options more affordable and accessible.
So it is not just simply saying eat healthier. It is finding affordable, healthier options. And so the investment now in food and nutrition security is going to be really, really important to help bring down those costs. That is not easy, but that is what we have to do to address both the fiscal situation, the economic situation, and, as you pointed out, the health situation.
He highlighted the severity of non-communicable diseases in the region.
8 in 10 deaths in our region are coming from non-communicable diseases, diabetes, heart disease, cancers, and so on. Just think about the economic costs of that. And then you think about the familial costs, the impact on productivity. It's a serious issue.
Addressing trends in food imports, Governor Antoine noted a concerning pattern.
So there have been strides made, but what we find is that when the economy starts to improve, we see more and more food imports going up, as I showed a few weeks ago in the Growth and Resilience Dialogue. So during the pandemic, it went down because things got slowed, but once things picked up, food imports went back up. And we're not anywhere close to the target of reducing our food import bill by 25%. But we are working on it, and I think this is a moment for us to really make a breakthrough in this area.
Governor Antoine's remarks highlight the intersecting challenges of trade logistics and food security facing the Caribbean, underscoring the need for strategic planning and investment to build a more resilient, healthy, and economically sustainable region. The island nation of St. Kitts and Nevis is gearing up to host a groundbreaking event focused on climate action, sustainability, and community innovation. At the forefront of this movement are youth leaders, Akwanji Robinson, CARICOM Youth Ambassador for St. Kitts and Nevis and Executive Research Officer in the Ministry of Environment and Climate Action, and Moriel Knight, Senior Member of the St. Kitts National Youth Parliament. Speaking on WINN FM's Island Tea program on May 7, 2025, both expressed their excitement and highlighted the importance of the upcoming Global Sustainable Island Summit and its associated Island Youth Forum, which will be held from May 25th through 30th, 2025 in St. Kitts.
Well, the Ministry of Environment, Climate Action and Constituency Empowerment and the Government of St. Kitts and Nevis at large, in collaboration with Island Innovation, is hosting a groundbreaking summit, one of a kind in the Caribbean between the islands of St. Kitts and Nevis, called the Global Sustainable Islands Summit. And it intends to unite island nations from all around the world in the interest of climate action, sustainability, and community innovation. And to precede this summit, we have an Island Youth Forum that intends to unite young people with the same interest to harness the tools that would allow us to tackle cross-cutting issues that we face as island people due to the impacts of climate change.
The summit aims to galvanize island nations globally, bringing them together to share insights and solutions unique to their geographic and environmental realities. Maurel Knight emphasized the urgency and importance of young people's role in this initiative.
St. Kitts and Nevis is playing host to the third edition of the Global Sustainable Island State Summit, as Akwanjo have mentioned. And around the world, we see that there are well over 650,000 islands, many of them grouped together as island state nations. And the United Nations has classified around 39 of their own member states as small island developing states. And these also include an additional 18 associate states around the Caribbean and around the Pacific region in particular. And what we realize is that a lot of these small island states, because of their geography, because of their climate, and because of their location, and for many of them because of their past, their histories, they face a unique set of challenges that a lot of the developed states, or the bigger countries, as we would call them, do not face. And so what we have realized is that by coming together and finding united solutions, we can be a part of the change that we want to see in our world. And young people, not only as the leaders of tomorrow, but as today's leaders, we must play an active role in securing those solutions so that future generations can enjoy a world of peace, of sustainability, and a climate-friendly world. Okay. And those are a lot of the topics that we aim to hit at the Island Youth Forum and at the wider GCIS. But as part of the wider GCIS, it was thought that young people can't just be seeing what's going on. They have to be a part of the action as well. Definitely. And so before the actual summit, we want to have a youth forum where young people can contribute to the issues that will be discussed at the wider summit a few days later.
Robinson highlighted the forum's thematic focus, which is tied closely to the Sustainable Island State Agenda, which sets out 7 pillars underpinning the Federation's sustainability goals.
Sustainability is a general principle, but in the local context, I'm not sure if you're familiar with the term CISA, or in extension, the Sustainable Island State Agenda. And the CISA has 7 pillars at which we plan to achieve sustainability as a federation. So the 7 key pillars are energy transition, water security, food security, sustainable settlements, sustainable industries, circular economy, and social protection and health. Now, those are just terms to rephrase what sustainability means. And the Island Youth Forum plans to focus on these topics.
The Island Youth Forum will occur at the St. Kitts Marriott Resort on May 25th and 26th, 2025. It will offer young people between 15 and 35 a platform to engage directly with pressing sustainability topics.
It will be hosted on the 25th and the 26th of May. Yes. That's in the next 2 weeks. And one day it will be held at the St. Kitts Marriott Resort.
Yes.
And the second day would be...
Should be the Marriott as well.
Yes, okay. So both days will be held at the Marriott, and that's the 25th and the 26th. Primarily, we're targeting young people between the ages of 15 and 35. That's whether you're in school, whether you're at the Clarence Fitzroy Bryan College, Geneva Sixth Form College, or whether you're just a part of a youth group, or whether you're just a young person interested in making a change. Yes. You're more than welcome.
We welcome
to join us.
The forum is not only designed for theoretical discussions, but will also feature practical activities, plenary sessions, and panel discussions to equip young participants with the tools and knowledge to become active agents of change.
We plan to have plenary-style discussions, panel discussions and practical activities as well, because we not only want to focus on the theoretical aspect as well, but we want to allow the young people to practically apply what we have learned throughout.
Both young men expressed their dedication to the cause and their hopes that young people across the Federation and beyond will seize the opportunity. Robinson shared what sustainable means to him moving forward.
As a term by itself, I feel like sustainability can be defined as longevity.
Yes.
Taking from something while still sustaining it. But in the context of climate change and the environment, and more so environmental sustainability in particular, I feel as though it would amount to us using the resources of our environment in a sustainable fashion. So we exploit the resources, but we don't exploit it to the point where they are no more.
Yes, they exhaust.
Yes, we don't exhaust the resources, because not all of our resources are renewable.
That's it.
So the resources that can't replenish themselves, we have to have a conscience. And we have to be mindful of the future generations that have to use these resources as well.
Knight offered his perspective as well.
When I think of sustainability, I think of creating an environment that, well, first understanding the environment that I enjoy, and understanding that if I want my children and my grandchildren to enjoy that environment or even a better environment, that I have to do my part today, because it can't be left for when they come. Especially as Aquanjuda mentioned, for those resources that won't replenish themselves on their own. If I enjoy a particular beach and I want my children and grandchildren one day to walk on that same beach, I have to make decisions today that will secure their future on that beach.
Yes.
And put simply, I think that is sustainability. But on the grander scheme, it's setting up ourselves and our communities and our countries to thrive in the long term.
Robinson wrapped up with an inspiring call to action.
I am here as a very passionate environmentalist, as a young leader, and as someone who would encourage other people to take this grand opportunity to learn something new, to take part in action that we all should take part in, to lend to the decisions that would shape the future that we are to inherit, but we have to manage now. So I would encourage young people to indulge. Don't just inherit a future and complain about it. You have to take part in the present now, because we matter now, and our decisions matter, and our voices matter. So use your voice and use your free will to do good.
Knight underscored the unique opportunity the event presents, urging,
this is an opportunity for young people to have their voices heard. It's an opportunity for them to be a part of the decision, and even for the Federation, it's an opportunity to showcase our culture and our warm hospitality as we welcome many delegates from around the world and many of the sustainable island states and the small island states around the globe. And so I want to encourage young people to take part in this opportunity, and as I always encourage other young people, that your network is your net worth, and so this also presents an opportunity for you to meet like-minded young people, not just from around St. Kitts and Nevis, from around the Caribbean, but around the entire globe. Yes. And so I want them to seize this opportunity and be a part of the change that they want to see.
The Island Youth Forum, a prelude to the Global Sustainable Island Summit, which is scheduled for May 27th through 29th, 2025, promises to be a transformative event. Young voices will shape the sustainable futures of islands worldwide.
Over 2 weeks, the Lesser Antilles Medical Assistant Team Lamont and medical teams in St. Kitts and Nevis worked hard to provide primary and critical care to residents and also facilitated knowledge exchanges. The medical mission consisted of a multidisciplinary team of medical professionals from the United States and Taiwan between March 24 and April 4, 2025. The team included a neonatologist, diabetic educator, family physician, dentist, maxillofacial surgeon, ER physicians and nurses, intensive care unit ICU nurse, nurse anesthetist, operating room nurse, operating room technician, medical technologist, audiologist, and radiographer. In Nevis, medical services were provided by 13 personnel from the United States Air Force and 6 personnel from the Taipei Veteran Hospital, Taiwan, to more than 300 patients across all age groups, including residents of the island's nursing homes. At the Accident and Emergency Department, consultations were provided to 27 patients. At the Brownhill Health Center, audiology screenings were conducted on 196 patients, ranging from 1 month old to 98 years, and 39 individuals received hearing aids. Additionally, 101 dental examinations were conducted, including 42 fillings, 21 extractions, and 57 cleanings. The Premier of Nevis, Mark Brantley, expressed gratitude to Lamat and the Taiwanese team for providing critical specialized care to residents for yet another time. He also welcomed the donations and the knowledge sharing, which are critical investments in saving lives and enhancing the nation's healthcare system.
Beyond the direct medical care provided, the mission yielded numerous benefits for local health facilities. These included invaluable knowledge exchange between international and local healthcare professionals, as well as the donation of essential medical supplies from both the United States and Taiwan teams. This marks, ladies and gentlemen, the second time that the LAMAT mission has been hosted in the Federation, and the Ministry of Health is deeply appreciative of the continued partnership. We look forward to strengthening this collaboration in the years ahead to further enhance healthcare delivery on the island of Nevis.
Meanwhile, communication from the federal arm of the government informed that more than 2,130 patients received treatment and 135 surgeries were performed. The mission also provided technical support by repairing 21 critical pieces of medical equipment, thus removing strain from the public's purse. Members of the military are expected to be ready at a moment's notice for deployment anywhere in the world and to provide critical support in times of disaster or conflict. The LAMAT mission, organized by the U.S. Air Force Southern Command, tests the airmen and soldiers' ability to effectively plan, activate, organize, and execute their mission through real-world experiences in cross-functional healthcare domains. As part of its commitment to enhancing communication and public safety, the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, reminded the public of St. Kitts and Nevis of their domestic responsibilities ahead of the start of the transatlantic hurricane season. In a notice to WINN FM, NEMA encourages families to gather emergency supplies and create emergency plans. According to NEMA, an emergency supplies kit is essential for short-term survival and provides vital items for the family. Individuals and families are encouraged to invest in a sleeping bag, non-electric can opener, hand sanitizer, first aid kits, hygienic items, face masks, water enough to last for 3 days for each family member, blankets, non-perishable foods enough to supply the family for 3 days, battery-powered radio, portable cell phone charger, extra clothing, medication, at least a week's supply of all prescription medication properly stored in a waterproof container, special food for babies or persons with dietary needs, cleaning supplies, flashlight and extra batteries, cash, and important documents such as passports, medical records, vaccination cards, insurance policies, etc. NEMA advised that a family emergency plan is crucial. Family or household members are encouraged to discuss how to prepare and respond to disasters, identify responsibilities for each person within the household, discuss how to work together as a team, and practice as many elements of the plan as possible.
At the recently held 2025 spring meeting of the World Bank Group and the International Monetary Fund, IMF, in Washington, D.C., Governor of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, ECCB, Timothy N.J. Antwine, engaged in critical discussions on mobilizing financial resources to address the development needs of the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union, ECCU. During a pivotal roundtable on domestic resource mobilization, Governor Antwine underscored several key areas essential to attracting private capital and fostering sustainable growth within the ECCU. He highlighted the urgency of building local capacity in high-impact sectors, suggesting that local capacity building in physical and digital infrastructure, trade logistics, and energy security is necessary, with emphasis on closing policy and regulatory gaps, which act as barriers in attracting private capital to the table for these critical sectors. Governor Antwine emphasized the role of multilateral development banks in expanding their approach to credit guarantees, particularly targeting low-income countries and Small Island Developing States, SIDS. In addition to financial strategies, Governor Antoine reflected on the innovative framework of catastrophe risk management pioneered by the Caribbean. He recalled the genesis of the Caribbean Catastrophe Risk Insurance Facility, CCRIF, established in 2007 following the destruction caused by Hurricane Ivan in 2004. CCRIF became the world's first multi-country catastrophe risk pool, a model now emulated by regions including Africa and Southeast Asia. Amid a backdrop of pronounced global economic uncertainty and subdued growth forecasts, Governor Antoine identified 4 key areas for bolstering collaboration between the ECCU and the IMF during the Western Hemisphere Department Directors meeting with Caribbean Ministers of Finance and Central Bank governors. Advanced macroeconomic modeling to better understand the impact of overall external shocks on vital ECCU sectors such as tourism and the Citizenship by Investment programs. Enhanced tailor-made debt sustainability analyses that effectively incorporate climate and other systemic shocks confronting ECCU member states, the development of a green finance market within the currency union promoting sustainable investment aligned with global environmental goals, and formulating comprehensive data and artificial intelligence AI strategies. Elaborating on the AI priority, Governor Antoine mused that data is the new oil, which must be refined and processed to maximize its value. The 2025 spring meetings sought to deepen coordination and dialogue between the IMF and Caribbean nations, focusing on resilience-building measures critical to the region's future. The long-standing partnership between the IMF, the ECCU countries, and the ECCB continues to underpin efforts for sustainable development and economic stability within the Eastern Caribbean. Governor Antoine's engagements and strategic vision at this international forum reaffirms the ECCB's commitment to strengthening the ECCU's financial architecture and fostering regional growth in an increasingly complex global economic landscape.
The Premier of Nevis and Leader of the Opposition, Mark Brantley, weighed in on the April 30 debate on the Pensions Amendment Act 2025. One of the notable features of the Act suggests that provision be made for the non-established workers, otherwise called government auxiliary employees, to be able to get a refund if they exit the service before the minimum of 10 years. Brantley questioned the sustainability of the fund under such a provision.
Here, this legislation is saying at section is it 35? 35 is what I have. Refunds. When a contributor ceases to be employed in the public service and is not entitled to a gratuity under this part, an amount equal to the total of his or her contributions to the pensions fund with interest shall be paid to him or her, or where the contributor is deceased to his or her estate or personal representative, as the case may be. Now, this to me now starts to sound like a savings scheme, starts to sound like a bank account, rather than a pension fund. As I say, when I look at the Social Security Fund, which is a good example of what has worked and worked well, you anticipate people paying in to sustain the fund. So if you are saying that people who pay in and after 8 years they migrate to America, they tell you, hey, I'm moving to New York, please send my money back. And the Accountant General now must calculate how much ever they paid in plus interest and give them back their money. I think there's a question of sustainability of the fund, and we will have to look carefully at that.
The landmark Pensions Amendment Bill 2025 ties into the sustainability agenda for St. Kitts and Nevis, allowing more than 2,000 persons in the Federation to retire with financial dignity. There had been a long call for the pensions fund to be rectified so that the non-established workers can receive their well-deserved recognition and benefits. The Pensions Amendment Act 2025 was passed into law days shy of the Labor Day celebrations in St. Kitts and Nevis. The Prime Minister, Dr. Terence Drew, said that the fund will ensure that the persons it is targeted to benefit do not retire in poverty.
You are listening to the Week in Review here on WINN FM 98.9. Thank you for listening and have a productive week.